Welcome to Female Fluence. We are a place of women empowering women. This is a safe environment where females are not judged nor afraid to flourish. My goal is to help you live an energized life of balance, whether as a mom, a wife, or in your profession. It is time to have self-worth and self-compassion. Live in the present moment and surround yourself with only healthy connections. So join me, Pearl Shore, a woman empowerment life coach, an educator, and a mother of three, to help take you on a journey of true identity and inspiration. Have you ever asked yourself, why is this happening to you? It's a question we all have, especially when things are not going our way, when we are faced with challenges and pain. But what if you change just one word in that question? Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You ask, why is this happening for me? The slight shift can transform your perspective as well as your life. There's a world of difference between those two questions. The first one often leads us down a path of victimhood, blaming the world, blaming other people, making us feel like there's something wrong with us or that our life is just unfair. The second, however, guides us towards growth, awareness, and responsibility. Asking why something is happening to you doesn't mean you have to like what's happening, nor does it mean blaming yourself. It's about choosing to see the lesson in your experience and adopting a growth mindset. What are you learning? What is this situation encouraging you to face, to let go, to heal, or confront? Another powerful question is, what good is here that I'm not yet seeing? The more willing you are to look deeply at what's happening and the less energy you spend feeling powerless and sorry for yourself, the more empowered you will be. When life feels at its most challenging and you are convinced you are facing something that could break you, remember this, it's just not the end. You have been given the chance to navigate an unprecedented challenge. And with this challenge, you have the potential to emerge stronger and wiser than before. And this is where my guest comes in today. She's a perfect example. Lauren Fields faced tremendous struggles after a traumatic brain injury and came out on the other side, not only surviving, but actually thriving. She's a TEDx speaker, a podcast host, and entrepreneur dedicated to helping individuals create extraordinary lives. With a diverse health and wellness life coaching background, she has founded the Fields Method to actually empower clients to overcome challenges with resilience as well as grace. Her passion for this work is deeply personal, rooted in her journey of overcoming her brain injury. Lauren's mission is to unlock each person's potential, blending their talents and experiences to create a life filled with purpose and fulfillment. Lauren, I'm so excited to have you on Female Fluence today. You are an inspiration. Welcome to Female Fluence.
Pearl, thank you so much for the incredible introduction. It's such an honor to be here. I think we first started talking over a year ago. We met at a podcast conference in LA, and I think we're drawn to each other and one another's stories. I'm so grateful to have had you on my show, the Fieldswell podcast, and now we're turning the tables, and I can't wait to be interviewed by you.
I love it. Well, welcome. Glad we finally made it happen with our crazy schedules. So, Lauren, take us back to when you were 14 years old. What life-altering trauma did you experience, and how did it change your life?
I grew up in San Diego, California, and I found my ultimate passion at a young age. I started riding horses when I was 6 years old, was at one point homeschooled because I was at a show jumping competition almost every weekend. This was my life force, my passion. I absolutely adored this sport. And when I was 14 years old, I was in a show jumping competition at the Del Mar Fairgrounds here in San Diego. And I was in jumpers, so I was being timed. I raced around the corner, encouraged my horse to speed up towards the jump. He took off, ended up coming down. I went flying, hit my head in the exact wrong location, and woke up 3 days later in the hospital from a coma with a traumatic brain injury.
Wow. I am just picturing this. I can't even imagine. At age 14, that is so traumatic and so scary, I'm sure for you, for your family. What went through your mind when you first heard that your life would never be the same, that normal was not really in your path anymore? What was going on in your mind?
Yeah, so it's really hard at such a young age to understand what it means to have had a traumatic brain injury or the severity of the accident. I almost feel like I had that to my like benefit because I didn't fully understand it. And so when I first opened my eyes, I saw my father in the chair next to me in the hospital room holding my show jacket and show number. He was asleep in the chair next to me, and I still had the oxygen tube down my throat. And I was just looking at him like, get this out of me. What are we doing here? What happened? But again, I had been in a coma for 3 days. So I remember being very weak, very frail, just trying to understand like what happened, what's going on, because the last memory I had was in the arena.
So what did the doctor say? Like when you woke up, what was the first thing that they told you?
So, I mean, again, they're not just going to tell me I'm 14. They're not just going to tell me
Yes.
like
I
all
hope
these
not. I really hope not.
Yeah, the first thing as soon as I open my eyes, they're like, by the way, you may, have trouble with memory retention. You may have to relearn how to speak. You may have difficulty walking. You may become violent due to being frustrated with your circumstances. These are all things that they told my parents. They
Okay.
said, don't put Lauren right back in school. We don't know how long it's going to take for her to kind of like feel normal again. And weirdly enough, with the timing, there was a fire that burned through San Diego at that point in time. And so we were evacuated from our home. Schools were closed for a week. And so I was all disoriented by the time we were in a rental home, got there, and my parents decided a week later, with the help of our community, with the help of tutors, with the help of meeting with my professors, for me to go back to school and for us to act like everything was normal. And I appreciate that they did that because they believed in me and my resiliency and my ability to move forward. But what I see now looking back was I missed the period of really understanding what had happened to me. And I just wanted to sweep it under the rug because I opened up my social media after this event and I had so many messages from kids that I went to school with, people in my community being like, I wish I spent more time with you, or like, I hope you make it out alive, like just not knowing what my future held. And I was 14 years old and I was just like, I'm fine. I didn't want to, I felt like something like so serious had happened to me and it made me not lessen, but like I almost didn't make it out alive. And that was a really interesting feeling that I didn't know how to process at that age.
That's that's really scary. And I just like you're saying, you need to like that's a moment in your life where you need to process that information and kind of I mean, not necessarily grieve it because you did. I mean, there was that was a part of your life, and that was a huge stage and challenge and horses, and you were on the spotlight, and it was a moment that everything shifted for you. And it's hard because sometimes as parents, I feel like, things happen and we don't really know. We don't know if we should really like. Now I feel like it's more of the day of like, let's talk about it. But especially back in my generation, it's everything is kind of, I mean, I'm older than you, but it's brushed under the rug and it's like really not talked about. And it's like, oh, we're just going to pretend it's normal and everything's okay. We're going to move forward. And there's things that in my life too, like I wish like someone had just talked to me and said, let's
Yeah.
have conversation. Like, this is what has happened. We need to
Mhm.
talk about it. And then you don't feel awkward or you don't know who to talk to about, or you feel guilty if you think like weird thoughts, like
Yeah.
I completely sympathize and empathize with what you're saying. Now, how did you go about kind of shifting, like keeping those beliefs from breaking you of like erasing? like, just thinking that you're not going to be able to, what's the next step? Like once you kind of went through the schooling and I don't know how the process was, but how did you somehow shift your limiting beliefs into empowering beliefs to say like, no,
Mhm.
I can do this. I'm okay. Like, were you okay in school? Were you able to be in a mainstream class and learn everything? Or were there moments where you're like, oh gosh, like I'm overwhelmed. I can't
Yeah.
understand.
I think I was like so focused on proving that I was okay. And when I look back at that younger version of myself, I like my heart goes out to her because I realize like we all just want to prove we're okay, but we're not taught it's okay to like not be okay when difficult things happen or when traumatic things happen. And that there's this like whole process you can go through to heal and like to feel okay again, but that's a journey. And so I was so resilient and fierce. I was so competitive in my show jumping and my competing that like I think that was still in me that I was so focused on like, my schoolwork, working extra hard to feel have a clear mind again. And I think after 3 months or so of brain fog, working overtime with tutors, working with my professors, I started to feel like everything was coming back to normal. And at that point, I started to experience nerve damage from the traumatic brain injury because there was a blood spot on my brain. And this caused a really interesting neurological symptom that was drop foot. And so the signal from my brain wasn't going down to my foot. And all of a sudden, I was a young girl having to think about each step that I took. And that's something you would never imagine having to think of. And so this was like a side effect.
Did you think
Yeah.
about like when you were walking, it did think
Yes.
that was it one side or it affects both of you?
Just one side.
Okay.
And so this started happening, and this kind of was like, this eventually went away. And so it was a symptom that occurred for a little bit of time. But aside from that, Pearl, like that was the one thing that was the biggest thing that was be so unexpected from the accident. Other than that, mentally, I felt like I was firing on all cylinders.
That's so impressive. I can't. So what, and you said it was called drop foot. Is that
It's
what that?
called drop foot, and it's a common symptom of a traumatic brain injury.
Okay. Wow. That's incredible. But I mean, when I first talked to you and you told me this, I was just like, you really had to grow up really quick, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
14, I mean, you're like an early teen, and there's so many things that's like a difficult age
Hmm.
on its own without having to add all these other new complications to it.
Yeah. I think, going through this at a young age did cause me to grow up really quickly because being in hospital waiting rooms, meeting with different neurologists, like it's very sobering. It's a very sobering experience because no one loves going to the hospital. No one loves trying to figure out what's causing this neurological effect inside of your body. But what it really taught me was we have this whole universe inside of us. And so at one point, I just finally realized, like, again, you can continue to be the victim. Why me? Woe is me, poor me. And you can live your whole life that way. And there are some people who do that. Or you can shift the framework and say, this is up to me to either enjoy the experience of my life or I can continue to be bothered by it. And so let me work on enjoying it and what are the tools that I need to do that to get my head above water in this experience and instead to flip it into like instead of why me, woe is me, why did this happen to me, but like how can I use what I've been through to help others and how can I find the strength to share my story? And that's really when like the the light came on and that feeling of like being empowered to share and helping other people who may be going through not the exact same thing, but maybe they're suffering too and are looking to find the light.
So, I mean, according to Dr. Joe Dispenza, there's 60,000 thoughts that we have daily, and approximately 80% are negative, right? So, how do you, like you were saying, how do you personally work on reshaping your thoughts and beliefs and making them positive? And was there like a pivotal moment? Was it like when you were, because that's difficult at the age
Mhm.
of 14 or 15
Mhm.
to say, okay, like I'm going to take all these thoughts of why me, like all the other kids are at the party, I'm at the
Yeah.
hospital, like, instead of doing that, I mean, that's
Mhm.
really impressive to be able to make that shift and say,
Mhm.
no, like this is not what I'm doing. This is what's been given to me. I'm going to do something better with
Mhm.
this.
I read a book called The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. And
Yes.
that is one of my all-time favorite books. I'll recommend it to anyone. And after reading that book, that's when I realized, okay, no more victimhood. No more. What can we be grateful for? What can we start working towards? What can we take accountability for? And I think so many of us are walking around on autopilot, letting these negative thoughts run our lives. Dr. Joe Dispenza, I'm a big fan of his. He has said we have up to 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, as Pearl said, up to 90% of which can be repetitive. So the same thoughts as the day before, and up to 80% of those can be negative. So when you're going down these negative thought loop spirals, understand you're not alone. There are many others who are also walking around on autopilot, fearing the future, regretting the past, and you're missing this moment, which is the moment to go in on creating the life you desire for yourself. And so I think the first step is really like take accountability and become aware of your thoughts. Become aware of what you're thinking and
Most of the time we're
challenge
not
it.
aware, right? If we, like they say, like keep track, like from the moment you wake up, like what are the thoughts? If you look in the mirror and you're saying, "Oh my gosh, like I hate my hair today," or and you continue like how many negative things you tell yourself or you're thinking, versus if you become, like you're saying, once you're aware, you're like, "Oh my goodness, like I didn't even say something nice to myself at all. Like I've done so much and it's already like 12 o'clock. I'm
Yeah,
amazing.
right?
Do that."
Yeah, and to challenge your thought, like, is it true? If you have this thought, like, if I don't
Yes.
even want to say these thoughts because my subconscious mind is listening, I don't even want to give an example because it's so important to observe how you think and how you talk to yourself. And it really is pro like forming an amazing relationship with yourself. I like to say you are with the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with, and that is you. So focus on really prioritizing and making that an amazing relationship because then you never feel alone when you're going through a hard time, you have this sense of like, it's okay. I feel safe. I will make it through this. And to start to trust in yourself. And that again starts with how you're thinking. If you're having a negative thought, challenge it. Is this true? And maybe let's try and prove it wrong. If you feel like it is true and you don't want to be having that thought, set out on a mission to prove it wrong.
Right. But that's true. That I mean, it has been said that the best thing you can do for yourself is to be your own best friend. Because
Hmm.
once you figure out that you are a priority, you have to take care of you and you have to treat yourself with respect and kindness and love, then I mean, you become a confident person, you just become a better person. So
Hmm.
absolutely everything you're saying, I agree with you. I guess my biggest question is, but did all this happen for you around that age, or were you in a bad spot like in your teens, and then
Hmm.
there was a moment that it kind of shifted, like maybe in your 20s, and you said, okay, enough is enough, or did that happen immediately? Because
No, so as I said, the drop foot, like kind of the neurological symptoms would come and go. And so I ended up going to college at SMU in Dallas. And after college, I ended up having a surgery on my foot to try and repair the drop foot symptoms. And it was around that time, healing from the surgery, that I read The Untethered Soul. And that's when it really clicked for me. So this was not all when I was 14 years old. This was like a decade. And then once I finally read that book and had the awareness of like, okay, no victimhood, let's be the creator of our life instead of the victim of it. That's when I really started studying health. Because again, when I was struggling, I was like, let me find out what's going on inside. Started studying health and wellness, did a life coaching program, yoga teacher training, and then which led to my master's in psychology to understand the science behind human behavior and how to really influence and change behavior. So it's kind of been what has, and I look back and I credit one of the most difficult moments in my life, which was that horse accident for my reason why I've pursued the career path that I am on now.
exactly, like you would be a different person
A
if this
hundred percent.
happened to you, right? So, I mean, and it's like, and it's so important to educate yourself. Like that's what you see a lot of people, like something happens and it's like, for your example, you decided, I'm going to learn more about my body. I'm going to educate myself. I'm going to understand nerves and, the psychology behind it. So that way it's like, okay, this is what I have to do. Instead of
Yeah.
just saying, oh, like again,
Right.
playing.
My life is doomed, Like if that
I'll
didn't
never do
happen,
yoga. I can't even walk.
right. If that didn't happen, I wouldn't be sitting here with Pearl. I wouldn't have created this business. I wouldn't be fiercely pursuing my passion. And I'm so grateful that that happened because it really gave me a story and it gave me like a deeper meaning to be alive and to take really good care of myself.
Yeah. I really do believe that things do happen to us for a reason, right?
Mhm.
So we just have to be aware to follow the path. Like we're given this, and sometimes, of course, it's very tragic and very hard and very difficult, and it's kind of up to us to kind of surrender and give up or find that right road and say, okay, wait. I need to find that secret door. I have to
Yeah.
follow and go through all of this. And that's what you did. And it led you to a complete different life that you would have ever had. So, I mean, we've talked about this. So, that was my next question. How did you shift your perspective to finding, why is this happening to me and to why is this happening for me? Which I guess that happened to you when you read that book, right? That was
It did. And I think what is, it's hard at the moment of the trauma or the difficult moment to be like, oh, you know what? No problem. Soon I'll know why this happened
yeah.
to me. Can't wait to find out. Because again, for me, it took me like a decade to really, really come to terms with that. We so often resist our reality. We resist what our reality is, and instead to kind of accept it. And what I think often causes people to change is like the pain of staying the same is greater than the fear of change. And once that's finally the case, then you finally step into the unknown, which I believe is where the magic happens, and lean into the like, okay, it's time to change because
Say
it's
that one
so
more
painful. I
time.
don't want
That
to
was
live.
beautiful, Lauren. Say it
Sure. The
again.
pain of staying the same
Right.
becomes greater than the fear of change. People
Yeah.
are afraid to change, and that's the fear, which is man-made. And so once that pain of staying the same is so painful, you're like, I need to change my life. Like this is happening now. It takes us a long time to get to that point, but once we finally get to that point, the decision to change is easy. Then you decide to change, and that is where you lean into the unknown, and that's where the magic happens.
Yeah, change is very scary because a lot of people, even if they're in misery, they're so comfortable in being in that,
Mhm.
misery section of their life. And they're just like, well, I don't want to, that's too difficult. I don't want to make any changes. And I mean, for anyone listening out there, like what we're talking about, I'm not saying, oh, like, God forbid something you get a tragic news or something happens and you just say, okay, this is meant for me. No, of course, it's horrible, it's painful, it's hard. And seeing that light at the end of the tunnel and figuring out like the path that you're going to go, it's a long journey. It's not something that happens overnight. As you can see with Lauren, I mean, it happened, for years for her to finally say, okay, enough is enough. I've got this. I can do this. I'm going to do something great with this.
Mhm.
So this is just, I want anyone listening to just feel that in the future. Like life is not going to be always like this. Don't give up, keep
Yeah.
listening, be intuitive and just
Mhm.
look with open eyes and be aware of what's
Mhm.
happening. What are the messages that are being given to you?
Mhm.
I guess that's my biggest motive that the point that I was trying to make. But I
Yeah.
totally resonate and I understand how difficult, whether it's an accident like yours, or if you're diagnosed with something, or someone dies and you're dealing with grief. I mean, all of those things, those are
Mhm.
hardships and I
Yeah.
recognize that and it's really
Mhm.
difficult.
Mhm. And I think as soon as you can start focusing on creating your desired future reality as opposed to reliving the past, as soon as you can start walking towards a vision you have for yourself and devote your life to that instead of spending your time and energy focusing on something you can't change, which is your past, that is a huge shift that will help you move forward.
Yeah. And stop doing the what ifs. Like if for your example, if you said, well, what if I never went on that horse? What if I wasn't, jumping that day? What if? And if you sit and just really ruminate in that what if all the time, then you are not going to be able to shift
Yeah.
forward.
It'll keep you stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very true. What advice would you give someone who is in the same similar situation, who's striving to become the best version of themselves, but there's, obstacles that just come their way.
hmm I would say two things. I would say, and they're kind of like two in one. I mean, I would say believe in yourself and take action. Action. We're scared to take action. It's fearful. What's going to happen? Because again, action causes change. There's a really good way to stay the same, and it's not by taking action. If you if you have a vision for what you want to create, first step, I would say, what is that vision you want for yourself? Let yourself daydream a little bit. What do you want your life to look like? Who do you want to become? And then start acting like that person now. Start taking action toward who you want to become and the life you want to create for yourself. And it's going to be scary, but it's not like there's this magic pill. Again, it's taking action toward the life you desire for yourself. And it's really number one, just starting to form a relationship with yourself so you feel confident and comfortable doing it. And that first step, I think, is often the hardest, like taking that first step towards what you actually want. But I think a lot of people don't know what it is they want. So I think like sit with yourself. What do I want in this lifetime? We're given this one life and we do play a role. It's not all I don't believe it's all predestined. Like I think believe in setting an intention for what do you want and boldly going after it.
Yeah, completely agree. And really checking in and seeing what are your desires, what do you value most in life, and then that way you can, go in the right direction.
Yeah, like what am I capable of? What's possible? Let's see what I can create.
And you talk a lot about living a life by design, not by default. Explain to our listeners what exactly that means and how are you living your life by design?
Mhm. So I'll give you an example of living a life by default. Maybe we just wake up whenever we wake up. We don't reach out to anyone. We just see who calls or texted us and then we respond. It's living in a more passive state. We see if anyone wants to hire us. We just like let life happen without trying to like create the life we actually want. We just let it happen to us. And so by design, I would say, again, what is the life that I want to create? What is it that I want? Who do I want to connect with? Who do I want to meet in this lifetime? What services do I want to provide to those who I encounter? What value can I bring to the table? What am I interested in? How can I incorporate that in the work that I do and the things that I'm talking about? What books can I read that will help me get to that next level? What events can I attend? It's really designing your reality by being intentional. And so again, do I want a family? Okay, when do I want a family? Like, okay, maybe in 5 years. What steps do I need to take today to make that a reality? And so again, it's just thinking through like if we have preset time of being alive, many people think that's 100 years. We don't know for sure how long we're going to live. What can we do today so that we're on track to achieve all that we want to do in this one lifetime that I believe we're given as a gift?
Absolutely. It just shocks me when I see so many people living, like you're saying, on default, but really like autopilot. Like they can't even remember what they ate for breakfast because they were eating and just looking at their phone. Like everything is just like they're not mindful at all about their day or what. And it's like every time I'm walking outside, it just shocks me that people are literally walking with their head down, looking on their phone. And it's like, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's spring. Look at the flowers. And I mean, I'm completely, yes, I will have my AirPods on. I might be listening to music or like a podcast, but I'm observing. My head is up. I'm watching. So it's scary the world we live in, how everyone is like just
Yeah.
not, I mean, I wouldn't say everyone, but majority of
Right.
people are not present, they're not mindful, and they are living a life on autopilot
Mhm.
or on default. They
Mhm.
don't know what they want.
Yeah. I have in my office now, there's an art piece to the right and it says, look at the magic all around you. And so it's so important to notice, to be aware of your surroundings. I created this Fields Well formula to help individuals feel well and tap into their true and full potential. And so the fields the letters stand for F is for frame of mind, I is for intention, E is for environment. Pay attention to where you're spending your time, who's around you. L is for lifestyle. And with lifestyle, I go to, your eat, your sleep, your movement. Does your lifestyle you're living now align with where you want to go? D for discipline. Are you holding yourself accountable? Are you doing the things you say you're going to do? And then I know we mentioned surrender earlier, and surrender to me means like if you're doing the first 5 steps, if you are have an elevated frame of mind, if you have a clear intention, if you are paying attention to your environment and what that looks like and putting yourself in the right places, if you if your lifestyle now aligns with the lifestyle you want in the future, if you're disciplined, then so often we hold things so tightly and try to control them. But surrender is like let go and let God trust that if you're doing all these other things, you have everything else in place to kind of let go of the when and the how it's going to happen and trust in higher power, God, source, universe, spirit, energy, whatever you believe in.
That's beautiful. I love
Yeah.
that framework. That's a
Thank you.
great way to think about, just everything you do in life.
Mhm.
So,
And I have individuals who are like, oh yeah, I can definitely see how my frame of mind or my mindset is not where it should be. Or I can see how the lifestyle I'm living now is not the lifestyle that I want to be living in 5 years. Or I don't have very much discipline. So those are great areas to focus in on if you feel like something just isn't right, or I'm definitely destined for more. How do I get there?
it opens up your eyes because you kind of
Hmm.
exactly you can go by each section. That's great.
Hmm.
Now, do you have any other symptoms or anything from your injury from the past, or do you have to go for any checkups? Like, are you done? Like, no more scans or?
I think it would be good for me to do an MRI to kind of look at my brain and how it has developed over time. Dr. Amen clinics do really amazing brain scans. And so I would like to go meet with Dr. Amen and see what he sees on an MRI. Now I'm just completely fascinated with neuroscience. I recently graduated my master's in psychology. I want to go for a doctorate in neuroscience at some point because I'm just fascinated by our brain and what's going on inside of our bodies.
Right there. You know what? I'm actually not a science person, but that
Uh,
one area, especially once I started this
yeah.
whole journey of coaching, I'm obsessed with neuroplasticity. And I just,
Hmm.
brain is so powerful. And I keep trying to emphasize this to, all my clients, everyone that I'm like, you have this tool right here that
Yes.
you can change your habits, you can have a growth mindset.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with this. I could complete
Me
that's
too.
things I'm like, whenever I have time, I would love to get like take a class or get a like
Yeah.
another certification just in this section because I just
Yeah.
incredible.
It's really amazing what we are truly capable of. Our brain is like our computer, and you can form new neural pathways, which Pearl was talking about neuroplasticity by doing new things, by having new experiences. And so that's so important. But other than that, Pearl, I just think I don't have any symptoms that I beyond what we had already talked about. It just has given me this fierce passion to like learn more about the mind and the brain and help others do the same.
I think you're a miracle. I mean, this is
Thank
amazing.
you. Thank you, Pro.
Really is. Now, do you have, as a result of all of this, do you have a fear of horses, or are you horseback riding again, or did you ever get back on a horse?
You know what? I made my parents take me to the stables from the hospital. So that's kind of how I think I
What?
already had a
Oh
super
my
resilient
God.
mind growing up. Yes. So I started competing again a month or 2 months after the accident. I think that like jumping really high jumps might trigger a little bit of fear. I've been riding a lot. One of the coolest riding experiences I had was in the deserts of Dubai, going full speed in the sand, like dropped the reins. So I'm not a very fearful person. Again, I think fear is man-made. Like many of the things we worry about, it's not like they're life or death in actual reality.
I mean, I'm so glad you did that. I have to say, I mean, I never did what you do with horses. I loved horseback riding, and I would just
Mm.
do it recreationally, just for fun with friends. And I did that for years when I was younger. Then, like, it was during, I think, right after COVID, we did a family trip. It was like in I think, Zion or something. And it was the first time I had a bad accident, and I
Mm.
backwards, and I think I was like unconscious maybe for like 15, 20 seconds. I mean, nothing as
Wow.
crazy
Yeah.
before. And it was really traumatic for me. I mean,
Mm,
I
mm,
luckily I was, I mean, I had bruises and I was
mhm.
covered in mud and everything. And then I know like a few years later, we went on another trip and I mean, my kids, I was with my family, everybody. So my kids had seen that. They saw like a horse without a person and they were like, wait, who's, because it was 18 of us.
Okay.
Well, who was that? And then someone had to tell them like that was actually your mom.
Oh
So,
my
and it's
gosh.
really scary for
Yeah.
them. So for that reason, it was really challenging because we wanted to go horseback riding and I did not want to go again.
Mm.
I hadn't
Yeah.
gone since then, but I just knew if I didn't get on that horse, I would never do it again. And then what was I doing for my kids? Like I was
Mm.
teaching, like this whole thing. You said when you
Yeah.
just get back right on the bicycle, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh God, I gotta do this. But
Yeah.
I course, and I'm telling you, Lauren, like my palms were so sweaty. It was like I was drenched, and then my daughters kept staring at me. They're like, "Mom, are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine. You guys go
Oh my
ahead."
gosh.
I was holding on to that horse for dear life, like everything. Like I think my nails had pierced, but eventually, I mean, I did it. I survived. Everything was fine, but it was again the
Yeah.
mind. I had to
Yeah.
every 2 seconds tell myself,
Mhm.
like, this horse is different.
Mhm.
That was a fluke situation. That horse went crazy. Everything
Yeah.
is, look at the scenery,
Right. Right.
body. Like, it was an out of body experience. I mean, I was really glad that I did, but I was glad when the experience was over.
I'm sure. I salute you for getting back on because then you're leaning into the fear, you're overcoming it. It's almost like exposure therapy.
I had to do it for myself. Like, I had to do it for the kids, but I knew I had to get over that fear that every time I see a horse, I
Mhm.
remember that, and then I'm going to be, I just didn't want that to stay with me.
Yeah. And the horses can feel your energy. And if
Yes,
they feel a nervous Nelly on their back, they're like, get
yes,
off.
they don't like it. Yeah, I mean, animals are so smart. So
They're
it's
really smart.
even like with dogs, because I used to have like a fear of dogs because I would attack when I was younger. And now we have our own dog. And ever since I have my dog, my attitude has changed with animals.
Mhm.
But before, if wherever I went, if there was a dog, the dog would go crazy when they would see me because they knew that I was nervous and
Yeah.
scared.
Yeah.
But now it's like I'm not scared. The dog's not
Mhm.
nervous. Like it, that it's just amazing how they feel your energy.
Mhm. Dogs teach us so much about being present and unconditional love.
Very true. That's
Hmm.
very. Now, actually, now that we're talking about love and relationships. I know you've studied deep, about relationships and love and the language of love. What insights have you discovered that sheds light on this topic and influenced your own relationships, whoever it may be, anyone in your life?
Mhm. I think in relationships, what's really important is being authentically you. So often we try to be someone we think the other person will like. And what's most important for sustaining a long-term healthy relationship, romantic or friendship, is just to be yourself. And that can be really hard to people because they think, what will people think if they actually know me? And I believe that that is like the gateway to meaningful, fulfilling, lasting, healthy, long-term relationships is just being all that you are, the quirks, the funny, the weird, like whatever you think it may be, just be you. There are studies that show authenticity vibrates at the highest level. And especially when you're in a romantic relationship, I think it's so important to be honest about what's going on to ensure you're at the same page, on the same page, as opposed to just letting things go by without having communication. So I would say authenticity, communication, and instead of like to ask for what you need as opposed to wait and expect it, and to have these conversations of like, how are things going? What do I need from this relationship that I may not be getting? Is it possible that we can give each other what each of us need, as opposed to at some point finally people often end up like upset that they're not getting what they want, but they haven't even asked for it.
Yeah, that's key. I think being authentic, it is key. And that's what
Mhm.
happens a lot in relationships because at the beginning you have that, the honeymoon phase and everyone kind of pretends that they're
Mhm.
a different person. And then later on things come up and it's like you
Yeah.
could save so much time, but
Yeah.
just being real from the beginning, is
Yeah.
things.
But I think instead of just like waiting to be given, water that relationship. Like take care of it, nurture it as you would like you're growing a plant or a flower. Like it needs care if you want it to grow. Instead of expecting the other person to do that to you, give, because
Yes.
then that other person will feel that love from you as opposed to you just waiting to be loved. Give love, be
Yeah.
love.
And then they will reciprocate. Very true.
Hmm. Hmm. Change yourself based on whatever it is that you want to receive. Give it first.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Thank you. I
Yeah.
love all of those. I think I had read all of the languages of love for like the
Hmm.
relationship, the child, the
Yeah.
teenager. every-
You know what? With relationships, it's like you think the other person is you, like that they would say something happens. You think they would handle it like you would handle it. And that's just simply not the case. This other person has had a completely different life, upbringing, situations happen to them. They don't even see the situation the same way that you do. So don't just expect them to act as you would. Don't wait for them to do what you would do because they're not living the same life that you are. They're in their own reality. No two realities are the same. So start to take awareness of that and have open communication of like, hey, here's what happened. Here's how I'm feeling about it. How can we move forward?
And don't make assumptions, right? I
Such
mean,
a
if
big one.
we know, like if we only know what everyone else is going, and that can just, I mean, to me, it's not even relationships. It can just be a simple thing as, you're in a car and someone's driving crazy and you're just like, oh
Yeah.
my God. And you just immediately, it's like in your head, if you have that idea of, okay, what's happening to them? You don't know what
Yeah.
their was like, maybe they got a horrible phone call and they have to be. So it's like just having that mind frame all the time and being, very compassionate about
Mhm.
everyone around you and not making quick assumptions that, oh, this person's just being this way because of, this and taking it personal.
I was going to say, that piggybacking on not making assumptions, don't take anything personally. You
Yeah.
think it all has to do with you. It's something else that this person is going through. It may be totally unrelated to you, and you're taking it personally. So
Yes.
you're upset when it has nothing to do with you.
Very true. Very true. I mean, to summarize, we can talk forever together, but
Yeah.
basically, we have to stop waiting for someone else to make us happy or tying happiness to future conditions. I'll be happy when I go on that next trip. I'll be happy once I buy that house. Catch yourself when these thoughts arise and shift your focus to the blessings already in your life. Training your mind to think this way is a daily practice. Deep down, we all have what it takes. We are fully equipped. It's just a matter of stepping into our full potential, and only you can do that for yourself. Live for today. When challenges come, look within and see what they're teaching you. Remember, they are temporary and they will pass. You will be fine if you recognize your most powerful asset. And that's your positive mindset that we've been talking about this whole time. Lauren, thank you for being a guest on Female Fluence. Is there anything else you would like to share with us today?
Pearl, thank you so much for having me. For our listeners, I would say, as I almost experience, your life can be here and then gone in the next instant. So, whatever it is that you want, whatever it is that your vision is, whatever goal you have, go fiercely after it today and just watch what's possible when you tap into your full potential.
Perfect. Be present. Live for today.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. All the links will be in my show notes, so you can find all of Lauren's information in there. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today to Female Fluence. Together, we can influence and motivate other mind-like females. Your job is to feel alive, be in control, and always be true to your own self. Please don't forget to subscribe so you can continue feeling inspired. All the links and notes from this episode will be posted on my website, femalefluence.com. Don't forget to also follow me at Female Fluence on both Instagram and Facebook. Lastly, if you are in need of a woman empowerment life coach to help you identify the barriers that keep you from living the life you seek, please send an email to info@femalefluence.org. Remember, my friends, don't just exist, but live your life to the fullest. I'm your host, Pearl Mashur. Until we talk next time.